buyback. The Reserve Bank is widely expected to keep interest rates on hold today, but its outlook for when interest rates may be cut, well, that's been closely watched by the market. Joining me now is our business reporter, Edward Boyd. Ed, 6 weeks ago, the RBA removed its hiking bias, but forecasters think that could change this afternoon.
Yeah, that was a big change 6 weeks ago. It basically implied the next interest rate move from us, the Reserve Bank, will be down. But since over that 6 week period, we've had a hotter than expected inflation figure for the March quarter, with services price inflation still remaining pretty high in Australia. It's the similar story around the world. We've also had the unemployment rate remaining pretty close to 50-year lows. And the economy, it's holding up a little bit better than what a lot of economic forecasters expected. So that's putting pressure on the Reserve Bank and putting pressure on the Governor of the Reserve Bank and the board today, which started their meeting yesterday and it will conclude this afternoon, on where they go with interest rates. Now, a lot of economists believe the cash rate will probably fall in November, but there's also a chance that the Reserve Bank Governor today in her press conference could leave the door open to suggest that rates could may need to go up further at some point later this year if inflation just remains hanging around above 3%. So that's really the crux of what we're expecting this afternoon. The other thing, Laura, is the Statement of Monetary Policy, which is the quarterly economic forecasts. They'll come out 1 week before the federal budget. So there may be some differences between where the RBA sees inflation and where the Treasury forecast that we'll get in the budget will see inflation going as well.
Yeah, OK, very interesting indeed. Ed, let's talk about ANZ Bank. The half-year profit slumped to 7%. This was due to tougher competition in the mortgage market.
Yeah, tougher competition in the mortgage market is something that the other banks have been talking about as well. We've already had results from Westpac and NAB, and the third quarter results from Commonwealth Bank should be out pretty soon too. But ANZ with this morning, we've got a little chart we can show just with their basic profit numbers. Revenue was flat at about 10 billion. Cash profit was down 7% to 3.6 billion, but that was slightly better than expected. And then the net interest margin, which is basically the margin that they make on their loans. So if you got the cash rate and added the net interest margin to it, you're roughly going to get around 6%, and that's probably where you'll get a mortgage around that level these days. You can also see the dividend was 83 cents a share, and they've announced a share buyback of $2 billion, so they're going to start buying back shares over the coming weeks, so that'll prop up the share price. But just looking at the stock market this morning, it's just opened ahead of the RBA's rates decision. We're up in early trade just by a small touch at the moment, but could go a little higher later in the afternoon.
OK, we like a small touch early. That's fine. That was weird. Ed, thank you. We'll see you all throughout the afternoon.